Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos. Dr. Touliatos is the author of Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, PED Use in Sports, a great basic primer on all the different drugs that are used in our sport, how they're used, just a nice way to educate yourself if you're thinking about it, or even if you are using PEDs. Great reference guide to have, and with legit medical knowledge. All the way from Athens, Greece, joining us, Dr. George Touliatos. How are you, Doctor?
Hello, Ron. It's been really hot here today. We have almost 100 degrees, and it's a problem for those who work out, because we need air conditionings, and in Greece, you're lucky if you have air conditioning while you train.
Really?
Very hot. Yeah. I mean, the gyms are not so well.
I see your training videos and pictures all the time. It looks like a pretty...
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but you're lucky if you have a good air conditioning gym, air conditioning gym, and most of them, they're not well repaired. Anyway, we had elections yesterday, and we have a new government now.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Is this good or bad?
Yeah, the Minister of Health is somebody I know.
Oh, okay.
And he has already signed my book, and he has given his authorization for my book. Therefore, I have this valid, how you call it? It's more official. The fact I'm trying to speak open and be outspoken about the steroid use. And this was 5 years ago, because the Minister of Health was a basketball player, a professional one.
Oh.
He's also a doctor, and yeah, I'm lucky to have this connection, because I may also do something else. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow I'll be hosted in public television. Wow. Live, speaking about, yes, the steroid fact in society. And yes, I'm going to talk, the usual thing as a scientist, as a former abuser, and people to be informed. Right. And yes, that's all.
Now, I don't want to make this all about Greek politics, but is there like a new political party, or is it?
Yes, it's the right was the socialist or communist, and now there is a change to the old days, and we'll see. The major thing is to have investments and lower the taxes, in order the economy to kick starting to roll over again. This was a big problem with the old government. It was horrible with taxes, and there was no development of cash flow, and investments. Yes, they have to, the foreigners, to invest in our country for more jobs,
Because, I know the U.S. we have trillions of dollars of debt to China, but I mean...
But you produce all the time, and this is something hopeful.
Yeah.
You produce your production of everything, and you can pay back this debt in the long term.
Well, I don't know if they're going to, but I hope the best for you guys. I know Greece had major economic troubles for a while.
Yes.
Hopefully
the last decade, yes.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this new government turns it around. So
we shall see.
Let's get into what we're here for. We got questions for Dr. Testosterone. I forgot to mention, guys, gtool.com is the website, if you can't read it behind him. gtoul.com. That's Dr. Touliatos' website. A lot of resources, articles, videos, a lot of information and links there for you to educate yourself and get some answers, and definitely check that out. Also, you can get that book there as well as Amazon. So now we lead into question number 1, very common concern. So this was a question, and he actually sent me some follow-up info after that, so you have all the info you need. So this gentleman says, I was wondering if you had any suggestions on how to avoid acne or control it while coming off cycle. I get bad acne when I come off cycle and end PCT. Cystic acne on my back and shoulders. When I'm on cycle, my skin is pretty clear. I had bad acne in my teenage years, and seems obviously I need a better PCT protocol to avoid acne flare-ups. I thought by tapering off it would avoid issues, but it did not. I did HCG and Clomid. Is it possible because I didn't use Nolvadex? That allowed estrogen to rise, causing it. And then he sent me another message. P.S. Just some more info for the doctor. Was using Tescipionate at 500 milligrams a week, split into 2 shots. Deca, 250 a week in 2 shots. And this was 16-week cycle. 38 years old. He did HCG for his PCT for 3 weeks. tapered down, and Clomid after that for 2 more weeks. Libido crashed a bit after for 2 weeks. Acne flare-up started after I went off HCG and I was on Clomid. I'm now 3 months off and it's finally starting to clear up. I noticed this used to happen to me back in the old days.
When you get off of the cycle, you start pumping out.
The acne would be so much worse after a cycle, not during.
Yeah, same here, yes.
Why is that?
In first place, acne is DHT induced. Therefore, testosterone is reduced to DHT that is responsible for all the side effects and also all the positive effects of testosterone, therefore androgenic alopecia, prostatic enlargement, and also acne. And therefore, yes, acne is also DHT induced. Therefore, the drugs that are more prone to acne are the ones that are highly androgenic. Okay, and we can speculate that using anti-androgens such as finasteride or dutasteride, the 5-iron reductase inhibitors, may lower this effect. Now, the best medications against acne, and cystic acne is the worst, is a bad kind of acne, is first of all is retinoic acid, which is Accutane or Roaccutane, which is a form of vitamin A, but it's very hepatotoxic, and it's also it can lead to misconceptions, hallucinations, or not hallucinations, but psychotic effects.
Yeah.
Also, you have the so-called photophobia. That means you cannot see daylight easily, and it's quite liver toxic. But it is very effective, and it dries mucous membranes basically. But you shouldn't combine stanozolol, winstrol with Accutane because you're gonna have serious dryness of the synovial joints. Therefore, you can cut off your tendons. Yes, because also Accutane dries out the mucous membranes. Therefore, no withdrawal along the cycle with Accutane. Besides, they are both very hepatotoxic. Now, there are also local lotions or creams. For instance, azelaic acid or Skinoren it's a cream that is very effective for cutting off DHT from the skin locally. And this I have tried the azelaic acids for a long time, and it gives a burning feeling where you apply it, but it's very effective. Then you can use also clindamycin, which is a lotion, and it's antibiotic. Of course, you can use also pure alcohol, 95%. You can use also UV radiation to dry out the sebum from the skin. And why sebum? Because DHT leads, and testosterone of course, leads to sebum production. Therefore, it makes more elastic the skin. However, microbes are trapped within the sebum, the fat that the skin, that's why we smell more, we're heavy odor during the year. Yeah. It's more manly, yes. And this kind of sebum traps the bacteria, and then in this case, we may have an infection inside the hair follicle, in the basis of the hair follicle. So yes, there are these 3 kind of medication. We can also use the alternative things. Now, I think about the why when we stop when we get off the cycle, why we have this kind of breaking out. Yeah. I assume that estrogens go sky high after we cease the cycle because we cut off androgens and then estrogens dominate. And I think acne is an inflammation, and estrogens maybe they favor inflammation, and this acne too that takes place in the epidermis, in the skin. Now, what about HCG? Some people say that HCG gives me acne. My explanation is that HCG boosts endogenous testosterone production, that eventually it will give acne just like it gives endogenous testosterone production in the puberty, during the puberty. That's why the boys in the puberty starting breaking out. Yeah. And another thing that's funny, they used to say that masturbation gives you acne. Now, this is why, because when we masturbate, ejaculate, or we have sex, we raise our endogenous testosterone production that eventually will increase DHT, and therefore I found this logical explanation to the link between masturbation, ejaculation, and acne.
Well, they used to say masturbation will make you go blind, but I don't think there was any scientific basis to that. Okay. Well, that's a good answer for his question, and that's a major concern with so many guys. So that's good.
Yes, I mean it's among the side effects that are superficial. I mean, acne and gynecomastia are the ones that are not so serious.
Yeah, I mean it's embarrassing.
Aesthetic ones.
It's embarrassing when you're a man in your 30s or 40s and you have acne.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
People looking at you like, what
especially somewhere out here in the forehead. Eh?
Yeah. Oh, or right on the tip of your nose, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Here we go. Can you ask the doctor about subcutaneous TRT?
Yes.
Yeah.
Subcutaneous. Yes. We have discussed, I think, this before, and I said that Dr. John Chrysler was a pioneer, and he discovered this way of application. And the major advantage of this is that you avoid the scar tissue with the deep intramuscular in your butt or in your delts. And pinning with subcutaneous, of course, it's applied with insulin series. Therefore, it's so tiny. How many gauge? I don't remember, but it's very thin.
Yeah.
That doesn't leave scar tissue on the skin. However, the disadvantage may be creating a small lump of oil when you inject oil into fat.
Right.
And the number two disadvantage is the pure absorption, because fat or adipose tissue is poor in blood supply. It's not like the muscles that are full of blood vessels and directly goes rapidly into the bloodstream. And there was a speculation also that injecting into the fat may have higher affinity for aromatization. However, the ester from the testosterone will separate as soon as it gets into the bloodstream. Therefore, as long as testosterone is injected into the fat, it will not be released, detached from the ester, but as soon as it enters into the bloodstream, and then the enanthate ester from the testosterone or cypionate will clear and leave the testosterone to work. Therefore, there's no case, or people with obese people or overweight people with body fat above 15% will have higher aromatization by injecting into the fat. This does not exist. I have tried this protocol and I have not found any major fluctuations between subcut or intramuscular. I prefer the shallow intramuscular injections into my delts. And by the way, injecting with an insulin syringe into your butt, it will be straight into the fat. Therefore, you don't need to grab a piece of skin and inject it like this, but injecting into your belly or your butt will enter directly into the fat.
When you say shallow intramuscular, what length?
Shallow.
What length
it's
needle?
Yeah, the needle is with an insulin syringe.
Oh.
It's half of your nail. It's very, very small one. I don't remember the gauge.
No, I mean that doesn't seem very deep at all. That's very shallow.
No, but I mean bodybuilders, we don't have any fat here in the delts.
True.
And it gets straight to the bloodstream.
Okay. So I thought that was question number 2, but that actually snuck into my paper. That was actually not even numbered. Here's one. Say you have normal SHBG, natural. Can steroids over a long period permanently elevate or decrease SHBG levels when you come off steroids for good?
Now, SHBG is crushed within a cycle because all androgens and, of course, proviron, DHEA, lower DHT, therefore they leave free, they leave more free testosterone to circulate. That will eventually lead to aromatization and estrogen production. Now, SHBG can elevate from other reasons as well. In the absence of carbs, in the lowering of insulin, SHBG will go up. This is among the paradox things of endocrinology. Another thing is also liver inflammation. Alcoholism or fatty liver disease will also elevate SHBG. And mind that alcoholic cirrhosis leads to the alcoholic's gynecomastia. Yeah. Yes, they also have gyno. Besides, alcohol aromatizes in the liver, and you have more estrogen production. Now, the guy says that getting off steroids will elevate permanently SHBG. I'm not sure if this happens. As I said, also SHBG is the result of various parameters. One among them also is sarcopenia. Though as we age, SHBG elevates, and the reason is because we lose muscle. And muscle is substituted, I mean, not as a tissue, but the less muscle you have, the more augmental fat you have. Augmental fat then will lead to aromatization and estrogen production. Therefore, there is reversely proportional lean body mass with adipose tissue and augmental fat. Therefore, the lesser mass you have, the more SHBG you have, the lower free testosterone you have, the lower libido and self-esteem, whatever. Therefore, there is a connection. I remember in my labs when I was hypogonadic, before I started my HRT, my E2 was quite low and my SHBG also was low. But of course, my testosterone was minimal. Yeah. Therefore, I'm not sure if this is valid, what the guy says. Yeah. But summarizing, sarcopenia, liver inflammation, alcoholism also, fatty liver disease, and ketogenic diet are factors that elevate SHBG and lower free testosterone. And the solution to this is elevating your TRT or inducing masteron, proviron, or DHEA as androgens to bind tightly with the SHBG and let free testosterone do the job.
Right on. Keto. Okay, next one. Can you ask the doctor's opinion on statins or red yeast rice while on cycle?
Yes, this is an excellent question, a very good one. Statins should not be used along with steroids. Why? For various reasons. Damn it. Listen, I recommend you run, if you are on TRT, it's okay, because testosterone is not liver toxic. But if you are on gear, it's preferable to use red rice yeast, for instance, that they are familiar to statins. They work like statins without the nasty side effects too. Number one, to the muscles, they lead to rhabdomyolysis. Number two, they lead to insulin resistance. They can elevate your A1C. Number three, they lower your Q10 from the heart. Q10 is very important. It's antioxidant, but also responsible for energy production and inotropic effect of the heart to produce energy. And also they are slightly liver toxic. They can lead to mild transaminemia or pharmaceutical hepatitis. These are the reasons. Now, while you are on steroids, you're already overtrained. Therefore, you have rhabdo in first place, and you can give more rhabdo with statins. Second, you can have transaminemia from the steroids itself or rhabdo-induced transaminemia, because skeletal muscle and liver have the same receptors for ALT and AST. Therefore, elevating your rhabdo can slightly affect your liver enzymes. And these are two major factors. Now, while you are on gear, you have to use red rice yeast with each meal, non-stop all time. And after you get off your cycle, you can start with statins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only on 10 milligrams of Lipitor a day.
I was on 5 milligrams of Crestor a day for 2 weeks. It was dramatic, the lowering of LDL and total cholesterol.
Oh boy.
But I know statins lower the aromatic process in the heart, but you should not rely on them all the time. I mean, red rice yeast is an excellent substitute and an alternative as a supplementation that does not have these side effects. Okay. For instance, like comparing berberine with metformin. Right. They do the same job without one is drug and the other is supplement.
We got to keep these drug companies rich. Come on.
Of course, as a doctor, I support medication, but sometimes medication has the unwanted side effects.
Right. Okay. Next question. Hello, Doc. I was wondering, people nowadays are taking supplements to clean their liver and kidneys while they're on steroid cycles, stuff like milk thistle and Live 52. Do I need to do that? I'm 42 years old on TRT, 250 milligrams of testosterone, and 50 milligrams of nandrolone per week, divided into 3 shots. There are some articles on the internet that say if you take liver support, you're not going to get all the benefits from your shots. Please, Doc, I want your opinion on that.
Okay, I don't think that 50 milligrams of nandrolone or DECA injectable are liver toxic. There are also other drugs that, like ibuprofen or non-steroid inflammatory drugs that are responsible for the elevation of liver enzymes. About the liver protection, you can also use NAC that leads to glutathione or injectable glutathione in first place. Yes, silymarin or milk thistle is good agent to clear up and detox the liver, and also increases the production of glutathione. And Liv 52 is a blend of herbs from India, Himalaya, the brand, I think, that responsible to cleanse the liver. Also, we use choline and inositol that are lipotrophic factors, able to eliminate any case of fatty liver disease that may lead also to transaminemia and insulin resistance. And now about the kidneys, there's no such protection. Kidneys, all they need is not high blood pressure and hydration. Therefore, make sure you drink plenty of water and do not elevate your blood pressure.
He also asked if these supplements would make your steroids less effective. I've never heard that.
Yes, some people claim that, and they speculate, but I don't find any serious point on that. Besides, are you gonna be as effective as a bodybuilder when you have a sick liver? Therefore, there's no point. Yeah. You can use glutathione along with your liver. Along with your orals. Yeah. And the more healthy you are, the more you can be productive as a bodybuilder. And in order now to minimize the liver stress with the orals, I suggest to use them sublingually for the first hepatic entrance. And yes, in generally avoid alcohol also consumption and other painkillers. Okay. Liver is an organ able to regenerate very effectively. Therefore, we have the first steps of pharmaceutical hepatitis. Then we have the cholestasis on jaundice that TUDCA, these bile salts, are very effective to restore cholestasis. Yeah. And when bile production stops, and then you have jaundice and yellowing of the sclera, of the eye sclera and the skin. This is also reversible. And the third step is Touliatos hepatis, that are cysts filled with blood on the surface of the liver, and even this is reversible.
Oh wow!
But the number 4, which is hepatoma, hepatocellular carcinoma, this is not reversible, and you need to transplant your liver. Damn. Okay. Now, when Andreas Munger was opened up in 1996, they found tumors with walnuts size on the lobes of his liver. Yes. Wow. And surprisingly, this guy was able to finish top 6 in the Arnold Classic, having a cancer within him. This is crazy.
He looked great on the outside.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, the most ripped guy in history.
Yeah, I saw him compete a few times. He was something else. Yeah. I actually drove him around one day in Venice way back in the day. Such a nice guy. Didn't speak any English at the time, but such a nice guy.
He was Austrian, yes.
Yeah. Okay, next question. When should ketotifen be used? During a supplemental fat loss phase? And if so, how far into the phase in terms of days or weeks? Do you wait to finish the supplements and use the ketotifen? And if so, how long does it take to get the desired effect of resetting the receptors? What are the suggested required dosages and or any alternatives other than staying off supplements? So I'm not even aware of what is ketotifen.
Ketotifen or Zaditen is an agent which is a beta-2 stimulant. It's given also in asthma and or in allergic rhinitis such as ephedrine. Now, ketotifen is used when you use clenbuterol and you get accustomed to the dose. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you have to be on and off with clen in order to the receptors to open up, because the half-life of clen is about 36 to 48 hours. Therefore, you need almost 2 days to get rid of it out of the system. However, because the clen is getting so easily with the receptors, the receptors get very familiar with the clen. Yeah. You have to be on-off every 2 days on, 2 days off, and then gradually elevate the dose. Now, what ketotifen brings is to open up the receptors so you can use non-stop the clenbuterol without elevating the doses gradually, because an elevated dose will lead you to blood pressure, headache, ischemia to the heart rate. I never tried it. It was available also in Greece. I never tried it, and I'm not sure about the dosages, but personally, I wouldn't go to the ketotifen, because then it's like playing with a fire, because clenbuterol is among the most nasty and dangerous drugs. They can kill you in a blink of an eye through a stroke or with a heart attack. Why? Because they are stimulants. The stimulants vasoconstrict the blood vessels, less oxygen, and they can also rupture the blood pressures.
Wow.
From high blood pressure, yes. And you have a nasty pain back in your neck, because it's the blood pressure, yes.
Wow.
And your vessels are pumping. So I suggest this guy to stay out. The reason is, of course, because very dangerous continuous use of clenbuterol. Some guys use it for 3 weeks non-stop. I have abused also up to 100 micrograms of clenbuterol. Was very stupid of me. I do not recommend it, of course. We have also the clenbuterol, the oral form, the syrup of Europent. But Zaritin or ketotifen, stay out of this and try to use more reasonably clenbuterol on and off. But this is what it does, actually.
So it's a drug that allows you to continuously use clenbuterol.
Yes, yes, but in medical science, it's used as a beta-2 stimulant, therefore to open up your bronchi and be more effective under asthmatic conditions.
So you'd be on 2 asthma drugs if you were taking ketotifen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You've tried clen, don't you? You have tried clen.
Oh, I've used clen. I've used 100 milligrams a day before. I think I've gone up to 125.
The older I get, the more I avoid stims.
Yeah, I haven't touched it since last time I competed, years ago. So, yeah. I mean, I never had horrible. For me, the worst thing I got was my hands were always shaking.
Trembling in your.
It was creepy. I felt like I had Parkinson's disease or something. But luckily I didn't have all those other nasty side effects. Okay. Here's a nutrition question to wrap things up, which is good. We don't just talk about drugs. We talk about nutrition here.
Sure.
Could you ask what the doctor's thoughts are on mixing fats and carbs in the same meal? And if taking insulin, how long should I wait before eating fats, or does it even matter? Or if I'm taking a basal insulin, should you keep your fats very low? Okay, so it was about drugs. My apologies. Thank you. Love the show.
So fats make the absorption of the secretion of insulin and the absorption also of foodstuff slower. Therefore, a way to avoid insulin spike while eating is to eat in first place the good fats along with the fiber and the protein, and afterwards the carbs. This is a way to avoid gaining weight. However, when bodybuilders are during off-season, they should eat in first place the carbs and afterwards the protein in order to spike your insulin, and then you have the rush of the foodstuff into the muscle. If you use fats along with injectable insulin, it's very risky, because obviously you need the food source should be carbs, either starchy or sugars. Therefore, don't think about injecting insulin without having carbs in first place. Now, about the endogenous insulin production, it's not very smart to eat a fatty meal right after your workout. For instance, salmon. Besides, salmon has too much omega-3 that will hinder your muscle inflammation, but you should have a low-fat fish, or for instance, you have chicken that's is more absorbable than a fatty meal, because fats make it harder to utilize your food, and also they suppress your insulin spike. We need the insulin spike right after the workout.
Yeah. So Milos was the founding father of insulin use, and I had a talk with him probably a year or two ago about it, because the only time I ever used insulin consistently for a period of, it was about 3 or 4 months, I did get up to almost 250 pounds, which was the heaviest I've ever been, but I got fat. And he said, well, what were you eating after you, because I was taking my insulin post-workout.
Yes.
He said, what were you eating? I said, cookies. I was eating cookies. He says,
yes, junk food.
That was your mistake. It's
It was a
have
problem.
pure carbs, and I was having carbs with fat in them. And, you know, other than getting fat, what's another major risk of insulin, using insulin and having fat and carbs at the same time?
Sorry, your question was?
Yeah, so, you know, I got fat, but is there another? Are there any real dangers to having, you know, fats and carbs along with your insulin post workout?
Yes, because apparently fat will not elevate your blood sugar and not the insulin to work and lower it. So you don't need fat with carbs, just carbs, and make them work with insulin. Besides, another thing of insulin is the mental fat accumulation inside the abdominal cavity.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
That's very, very difficult fat to get rid of.
Yes, and also overeating and drinking beer also leads to this.
Yeah.
The characteristic belly from those who drink beers.
Yeah.
And you need, yes, to drop on weight, fasting. Yes.
Yeah, you know, because people always say it's a GH gut, it's a GH gut. Well, I wasn't using GH, but I did get a bigger gut. And unfortunately, I think my gut permanently got bigger. And I guess it's the fat inside, but it was it was from that, you know, 3 or 4 month.
Even though you have a six-pack, the fat is hidden inside.
It's like a turtle shell, we call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So do not mix carbs and fats with your insulin, people.
Milos was very aesthetic with a very small midsection,
right.
Because he was using very reasonably the insulin. He was not abusing insulin.
Right. Smart guy, the son of 2 doctors. So.
Yeah, I met him once in Athens. And Hope will meet him in Vegas twice, second time.
Yeah, cool guy.
I met his daughter also in Athens. He was with his daughter.
Oh, I've never met his daughter. Interesting.
Beautiful girl, yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah,
he's an artist. She's a painter.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's always had beautiful women by his side, so it doesn't surprise me that his daughter's beautiful. I married once or twice. They were both.
At his 50s, Milos, he was very good looking, and I mean, he was an alpha male in his 50s.
Absolutely. He still is. Okay. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Ask Dr. Testosterone. Again, I want you guys to check out his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, PED Use in Sports. Excellent primer to educate yourself and great reference guide to have when you have questions. Everything's there. It has its own chapter. You can look it up.
William Llewellyn sent me a note today that he is preparing the 12th edition of Anabolics.
Okay.
And it took almost 10 years to go from 10 to 11. Now 12 is coming up very soon, huh?
Wow, 10 years. That's a long time between editions. So
yes,
it's going to be very different, I assume. He's going to have a lot of updates.
We'll see.
So I think the drug scene has changed a lot in the last 10 years.
I sent him a couple of pictures of Greek drugs, the pictures, and he posted them to the book. Yes, in the book.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the #1 reference guide out there.
Yes.
William Llewellyn's Anabolics. It's just called Anabolics. Yeah, Anabolics.
Yes.
So okay, that's coming out very soon, within a couple months.
I don't know. We'll discuss this on September, but he says he's preparing this.
Okay. Yeah, looking forward to seeing that. It's been a while. Okay, well, that'll do it for this edition, Ask Dr. Testosterone. If you guys have some good questions, you can leave them under the comments here on the video. If you're watching this on YouTube, on Muscular Development's YouTube page, which you should be doing. And thank you, Doctor, as always. Thank you for your expertise, sharing your time, your knowledge with all these people that desperately need a medical opinion, not just a bro science opinion, on these very, very important questions they have about their health and how to use these things safely and effectively, because we don't have many people to turn to.
I just got the magazine, and it's about void rates on July issue.
Yeah, Doctor, I neglected to mention, Dr. Touliatos has a monthly column in Muscular Development magazine, and in the current edition, the July edition that just came out, it's all about roid rage. Yeah, so check that out. We're not going to give away all it's about. You got to go read it. So, Doctor, thank you so much. Keep cool. Keep cool. It's very hot over there in Greece right now. I know, you told me. So that's it. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time on Ask Dr. Testosterone.